Determining language for their deaf or hard of hearing child is an incredibly important decision that parents have to make, many times without prior experience. As parents, this decision can be extremely overwhelming as you're flooded with contrasting information and opinions from one doctor or website or support group to the next. And the image of one day seamlessly communicating with your child may seem inconceivable, and that's okay. It is a ton of information. So I'm going to break it down for you. In this video, I'm going to go over 4 main communication options for deaf or hard of hearing children. This is not a complete list. The right option for your child might not be in this video, and that's okay. Whether or not your future method of communication is nested within this video, hopefully you'll still gain some knowledge on these main communication options, or you're more empowered to find the best fit for you. Let's get started. The communication options we're going to talk about today are on a spectrum. They range from auditory only all the way to visual only. We'll begin with the auditory end of the spectrum and move our way over. So let's start with auditory verbal. Auditory verbal therapy is the development of auditory pathways through hearing only. There is no visual aspect involved in this option. It is an intervention approach that focuses on early intervention and amplification for children with hearing loss. So this means that the use of an assistive listening device, such as hearing aids or cochlear implants, is often required. Auditory verbal therapy also requires heavy parent involvement. In fact, the parents learn right alongside their child and often have their own lessons or coaching with the therapist. The parents and caregivers, along with the auditory verbal therapist, provide the child with the maximal acoustic stimulation to develop listening, speech, and language skills. So this means creating and maintaining a listening environment all of the time. So that's 24 hours, 7 days a week. So keep in mind, if you're choosing auditory verbal therapy, you must be committed. Most people learn their first language without conscious effort as children, and then we grow up to become adults and we speak the language fluently and automatically. We don't realize the complexity of listening and talking and truly how much brain power is involved in those processes. As parents of a deaf or hard of hearing child who go down the auditory verbal pathway, you will quickly come to know just how much effort is involved in some of those simple things that we may take for granted, like listening and talking. So the primary goals for children who are involved in auditory verbal therapy include learning to listen and talk with conversational competence, to be included in mainstream school programs, and to have unlimited education and social choices throughout life. If you're interested in learning more about using listening and spoken language or auditory verbal therapy with your deaf or hard of hearing child, check out agbell.org for more information. Now we'll move on over to our next option on the spectrum, cued speech. Cued speech is a visual communication system that is used to demonstrate phonetic information for children who may not be able to learn entirely through amplified hearing. It's designed to enhance speech reading by combining natural mouth movements with 8 hand shapes or cues that represent the different sounds of speech. For example, for sounds like p or b, p, and b that look identical on the lips, the addition of the cues helps the deaf or hard of hearing child distinguish between those and other speech sounds. In addition to the 8 hand shapes, there are 4 different positions around the mouth that represent several vowel sounds. Cued speech is not a language and must be used in conjunction with a spoken language, but many deaf or hard of hearing people find this tool incredibly useful. I unfortunately do not know how to cue, so I'm going to show you some quick clips so you can get a better sense of how this is done.
Once you learn the basic hand shapes and the vowel placements, you have the system. It's not a continual learning process. You learn the basics and then you can cue anything.
The key to becoming a fluent cuer is to learn the fundamentals and then just practice. In a cued speech class, you will learn the hand shapes for each of the consonant sounds, the hand placements for each of the vowel sounds, and how to combine the hand shapes and placements into syllables and then words. With cued speech, it's easy for students to become bilingual. The language of this child's family is sign language. His parents chose a program that combines sign language with cued speech to help their son learn English. A fun way to practice cueing is by playing a game such as Go Fish or Candyland. Here, A family game of apples to apples gets everyone involved with cueing.
Foreign. Alien, unfamiliar, exotic.
If you're interested in learning more about cued speech, you can go to the National Cued Speech Association website at cuedspeech.org for more information. All right, on to our third communication option, total communication. Now, total communication, again, is not a language. This is actually a philosophy. The philosophy of total communication for the deaf or hard of hearing child is to use any and all communication methods necessary to facilitate language acquisition. So if you need to use simultaneous communication or SIMCOM, which is speaking and signing at the same time, in English word order, of course, to get the point across, then go for it. If you need to use gesture or to finger spell in addition to speech reading, then go ahead. Most of the time, families that choose to go down the total communication route end up using some sort of signing plus spoken English system, such as SIMCOM. However, families could also use Signing Exact English, or SE, or Sign Supported English. And if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, I highly suggest you do some more research. You can find more information on total communication at raisingdeafkids.org. And finally, we'll finish up with the most visual option on our spectrum, American Sign Language. American Sign Language, or ASL, is recognized as a true language, and all aspects of language can be fully conveyed utilizing this form of communication. And this is an important distinction between the previous two communication options. English and auditory verbal therapy and ASL are the only two languages we've discussed thus far. Cued speech and total communication, while amazing tools that you might choose to use with your deaf or hard of hearing child, are just that. They're communication tools or philosophies. They are not languages. ASL is even more distinguished because by teaching your child sign language, you'll be raising them in a bilingual, bicultural environment. Your deaf or hard of hearing child will be bilingual because they learn to read and write English in addition to using American Sign Language. And they'd be bicultural because they'd be part of deaf culture in addition to being a part of the ethnic culture that maybe your family identifies with. Let's watch some clips about deaf children using ASL as their primary mode of communication.
Sign languages are complete and natural languages. Just like any language, American Sign Language is acquired through meaningful exposure and interaction. Today, ASL is the fourth most widely used language in the United States. It is taught in high schools and universities for credit. Babies acquire language along a developmental continuum. ASL builds on the earliest connections you have with your child, allowing your deaf or hard of hearing child the opportunity to process and understand the meaningful family interactions directed at him or her. Babies exposed to and interacting with American Sign Language will typically produce their first words around 7 to 8 months of age.
Really, my job's being a parent, and my priority is to communicate with my daughter. And I figure my job as a parent is to open doors. And ASL was a door that I opened, along with speech therapy and hearing aids and everything else. And I have a daughter that can walk around through many different doors and feel very comfortable. And it's been a blessing, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made.
ASL, contrary to some common misconceptions, does not limit the language development, spoken or otherwise. And using ASL doesn't mean your child is limited to only using ASL. Many children who use ASL use it in addition to speech. Of course, not at the same time, but rather as a separate language that they get to utilize in addition to English. I know that was a lot of information, and yet not enough information all at the same time. Don't worry, this is just the start. But hopefully you found this video to be helpful in determining your next few steps. I'd like to finish up with some advice from Daniel Ling, a trailblazer when it comes to deaf education. He encouraged parents to choose the communication mode for their deaf or hard of hearing child after having been informed of and observed exemplary programs of all kinds. Ling advised parents not to be over-ready to accept promises or advice given by advocates of any mode of communication, representatives of any educational system, or the professionals in any program. Instead, he suggested that you see and interact with children who are the representative products of intervention through the different modes of communication. These are children who would have a similar background to your child, so a similar type and degree of hearing. In this way, parents can determine how the various modes of communication will prepare their child for life. The parents also would have a glimpse of what they need to put into the program to determine if they are ready and willing to do so. So, in summary, parents, not the professionals or any other advocates of the system, are the ones that need to make this choice, because it is the parents who will have to live with the results. I hope you found this video helpful. Remember, you're doing the best that you can, and you have a ton of information at your fingertips. I know it's very overwhelming, but now you have a place to start. Good luck.